Right now, a silent, incredibly expensive crisis is unfolding inside corporate tech departments. A single software engineer can burn through a mid sized company's entire annual software budget in less than a month. And the wildest part? Leadership isn't firing them, they're celebrating them. Welcome to the era of token maxing, the hottest, most dangerous trend sweeping through Silicon Valley and enterprise boardrooms. Borrowing its name from internet subcultures where maxing means pushing a single trait to its absolute extreme, token maxing is the corporate practice of consuming as many AI compute credits as humanly possible. Companies are setting up internal leaderboards, tracking token consumption on executive dashboards, and treating a massive API bill as a direct proxy for innovation. But this trend is exposing a fatal flaw in the modern corporate sandbox. It proves that companies are thinking about artificial intelligence completely wrong. They lack a clear strategy, they have no idea what actual business problems they're trying to solve, and they are substituting brute force compute for actual structural value. By the end of this video, you'll understand how the rush for infinite tokens is masking a massive enterprise ROI crisis, why treating AI like an unlimited utility is a multi-million-dollar mistake, and how the smartest organizations are completely pivoting their architectures to build actual measurable value. To understand how we got here, we have to look at shifting corporate culture around artificial intelligence. For the past few years, executives have been terrified of missing the AI wave. This fear of missing out has birthed a brand new corporate vanity metric. Management wants to see AI adoption, so developers give them exactly what they want: a massive spike in token usage. A token, in simple terms, is the basic unit of data an AI model processes, roughly 4 characters of English text. Token maxing occurs when tech teams run massive multi-agent loops, feed entire unvetted code bases into long context windows, and keep automated scripts running 24/7 just to inflate their consumption metrics. It is the ultimate manifestation of Goodhart's law. When a metric becomes a target, it ceases to be a good metric. This behavior isn't just organic, it is being actively championed by some of the most powerful figures in technology. Nvidia CEO Jensen Huang recently sparked a massive industry debate by stating that if a highly paid $500,000 engineer isn't consuming at least $250,000 in AI tokens, leadership should be deeply alarmed. The implication from the top is clear. Raw compute is cheaper than human labor, so a massive token bill must mean your engineers are working at lightning speed. While that burn as much compute as possible philosophy might make sense for a trillion-dollar tech giant building foundational models or training next-generation systems, it is an absolute governance disaster for mid-market and scaling enterprises. A $50 million company with a few hundred employees cannot treat AI tokens like an unlimited utility. When executives tell their developers to use advanced coding tools and automated workflows without establishing proper guardrails, they create a catastrophic wave of shadow AI spend. Companies are waking up to find thousands of dollars vaporized overnight because an unoptimized script got stuck in an infinite loop. Worse, it completely confuses activity with outcomes. Processing a billion tokens is an activity. Automatically resolving 40% of your Tier 1 customer support tickets is an outcome. When you reward teams for maximizing token consumption, you incentivize bloated code, redundant API calls, and incredibly lazy engineering. You build an environment where burning cash is confused with creating value. The token maxing trend isn't happening in a vacuum. It's a desperate smokescreen for a much deeper issue. Enterprise AI is facing a massive return on investment crisis. Globally, organizations invested a staggering $684 billion in AI initiatives. Boards approved the budgets, CIOs mandated adoption, and every corporate marketing deck was rewritten to highlight machine learning. But look beneath the hype, and the data is sobering. A landmark study from MIT's Project Nanda revealed that 95% of organizations deploying generative AI saw zero measurable return on investment. Not a low return, zero. More, a comprehensive Gartner survey of over 500 CIOs and technology leaders found that 72% of organizations are either just breaking even or actively losing money on their AI investments. When an AI project fails to deliver value, the immediate instinct for most executives is to blame the technology. They assume the model isn't smart enough or it hallucinated too much, but that is almost never the actual case. An in-depth analysis of enterprise AI implementations by Folio 3 revealed that only 23% of failures were caused by model performance or technical integration complexity. The remaining 77% came down to a lack of strategy, poor governance, and broken change management. Rand Corporation's research into thousands of enterprise AI initiatives paints a clear picture of this structural chasm. They found that 34% of AI projects are abandoned before they ever reach production. Another 28% make it to the finish line but fail to deliver any of the expected business value, and 18% deliver minor value that fails to justify the staggering operational costs. In total, only about 20% of enterprise AI projects actually achieve or exceed their initial objectives. Why is the failure rate so high? Because companies are trying to plug a multi-million-dollar AI tool into a completely broken business process. They haven't defined what specific problem the AI should be resolving. They approve projects based on projected ROI, but they never actually measure after launch. According to the Boston Consulting Group, 60% of companies fail to define or monitor a single financial KPI tied to their AI initiatives. Tokenmaxxing is the coping mechanism for this strategic vacuum. When a company doesn't know how to generate real value from AI, it falls back on tracking raw utilization. If the dashboard is green and token consumption is up, leadership can pretend the implementation is a resounding success, even as the company's profit margins are quietly eroded by unchecked API bills. Tracking raw token utilization is a vanity metric that masks an enterprise ROI crisis. What does real success look like? How do the 20% of organizations that actually achieve their objectives measure what matters? They don't look at AI as a magic utility. They look at it through the lens of strict AI unit economics. We're seeing a massive industry-wide shift in real time. The era of evaluating AI based on how much compute it swallows is officially dead. The new king of AI metrics is a framework called Return on Token Spent, or ROTS. Think of it this way. In digital marketing, no sane executive celebrates spending $100,000 on Facebook ads just because the money was spent. They care about the return on ad spend. ROTS applies that exact same financial discipline to your AI infrastructure. It treats tokens not as a background engineering cost, but as direct operational capital injected into a system to yield a specific business outcome. The core equation driving the smartest corporate architectures is simple. When you force your engineering teams to optimize for ROTS instead of raw consumption, the entire development culture changes. You instantly kill the incentive for bloated code and redundant API calls. To operationalize ROTS, advanced organizations are tracking 3 core downstream KPIs. Agent cost per completed task. This normalizes the exact dollar amount required to successfully resolve a discrete business process, like processing a complex vendor invoice or auditing a compliance report. It doesn't matter if an autonomous agent takes 3 loops or 30 to figure it out. ACCT tracks the true financial bottom line of the output. Token effectiveness ratio. This measures the ratio of effective tokens, those that directly made it into the final validated answer, versus wasted tokens. Wasted tokens are the silent killers of corporate tech budgets. They're the millions of tokens burned when unoptimized scripts get caught in recursive, infinite loops, or hallucination spirals. Cost per successful outcome. This rolls up your raw token expenses with your secondary infrastructure layers, like vector database lookups, security guardrails, and middleware. It answers the ultimate boardroom question. Is automating this process actually cheaper than having a human do it? Tracking ROTS is the ultimate way to protect an organization from the multi-agent loop trap. In complex autonomous agent workflows, models talk to other models, self-correct, and call external tools. A single logic error or a vague system prompt can cause an agentic ecosystems to burn thousands of dollars of compute credits in a matter of minutes while generating absolutely zero business value. When you shift your North Star metric from how many tokens do we process to what was the return on the tokens we spent, brute force engineering loses its charm. The obsession with token maxing highlights a fundamental architectural misunderstanding. Because modern large language models boast massive context windows with platforms like Gemini processing up to 2 million tokens, companies assume the best strategy is to dump their entire corporate history into a single prompt box. But this brute force approach ignores the harsh physical and economic realities of AI infrastructure. We're currently living through a massive compute crunch. Nvidia's next generation Blackwell GPUs are completely sold out through mid-2026. High bandwidth memory demand has skyrocketed, and the physical infrastructure required to support this voracious demand is hitting hard bottlenecks. More importantly, throwing massive context windows at every basic query is a financial nightmare. When you use a long context window, you're billed for every single input token or on every single request. If you load 100,000 tokens of corporate manuals into a prompt, you pay for all 100,000 tokens every time an employee asks a simple question. This is where the distinction between brute force and elegant design becomes vital. Battle-tested architectures like Retrieval Augmented Generation or RAG solve this exact problem. Instead of forcing the model to read an entire encyclopedia every time, a RAG pipeline selectively searches a localized vector database, extracts only the few relevant paragraphs, and passes a tiny fraction of the data to the LLM. The economic difference is staggering. Cost calculators comparing long context processing to RAG pipelines show that for standard enterprise retrieval tasks, RAG can operate 9 to 10 times cheaper than full long context processing. A workflow that costs $5.70 a month using a structured RAG pipeline can easily balloon to over $51 a month if you rely purely on brute force long context windows. The companies that are successfully extracting massive financial returns from AI aren't token maxing. They're doing the exact opposite. They're focusing on token efficiency. Research from McKinsey shows that organizations achieving significant financial returns from AI were twice as likely to completely redesign their end-to-end workflows before they even selected an AI model. The business process comes first, the model comes second. These leading companies are shifting away from chaotic, unmonitored shadow AI experiments and moving toward highly governed, outcome-driven sovereign AI agent systems. They aren't asking their employees just to stare at a chatbot. They're deploying discrete, automated agents designed to execute specific repetitive back-office tasks like automated data cleaning, cross-platform reporting, and supply chain triaging. They limit expensive LLM consumption strictly to moments that require complex human-level reasoning, using lightweight, hyper-optimized workflows for everything else. The frantic rush to token max is a perfect indicator of a technology sector at a critical crossroads. We're moving out of the phase of wild, starry-eyed experimentation and entering the era of strict economic accountability. The corporate leaders who treat AI as an unlimited sandbox to brute force will continue to see their budgets vaporize while contributing to the 95% failure rate. The real winners of the AI revolution won't be the companies that burn the most compute credits. They'll be the organizations that build elegant, sovereign architectures, prioritize data readiness, and obsess over measurable operational outcomes. Stop measuring the noise of your inputs and start measuring the value of your outputs. If you found this video useful, please feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. Feel free to share this on LinkedIn or any other social platform you may be on. And let me know what you think. Do you think the token maxing trend will die out soon? Or do you think companies will continue to prioritize employees spending tokens aimlessly? Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one.